Chosen one. Have you ever entered a space and felt the air shift, subtle but undeniable? The room stills. Eyes follow you, then dart away. It's not about how you dress, speak, or move. It's something else entirely. Something they can't quite name, but they feel it. What they're sensing is not you, but what walks with you. This world isn't used to light that exposes. Your presence does just that. Not with noise or force, but with a quiet, holy gravity. There's a reason their gaze lingers, then retreats. You carry something that wakes the soul, something ancient, something sacred. You've been marked not by men, but by the hand of the Most High. Your life hasn't been random. The pain, the silence, the moments no one else saw, heaven saw them. Every wilderness you've walked through was a refining. Every rejection was a redirection. Every quiet moment was preparation. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are not imagining things. For many are called, but few are chosen. Matthew 22:14. You chosen one have been called out, set apart. That's why your presence unsettles what's false. That's why your spirit picks up what others overlook. You don't just enter rooms, you shift them. Not because of pride, but because of purpose. And no, not everyone will understand it. They're not supposed to. You weren't made to blend in. You were made to carry something forward, something real, something true. Now, as you step forward into this divine role, take a moment to acknowledge it. If this message speaks to something you've carried in silence, type Amen in the comments below, not for applause, but as an act of bold agreement. A declaration that you recognize the weight of what's been placed on your life. And stay with me until the end. We'll close with a prayer to cover you as you walk into this next season, refined, awakened, and aligned with what was always yours to carry. And now, chosen one, here is what matters most. It's time to see yourself clearly, not through the lens of fear, shame, or who others told you to be, but through truth. For too long, the world has asked you to shrink. Maybe your childhood trained you to stay quiet. Maybe love, in its broken form, made you feel like you were too much. But what you carry was never meant to be contained. You were never called to blend in. You were never meant to keep peace by pretending. You become disruptive only to what is false, not by ego, but by alignment. There is a kind of presence that doesn't ask permission to be felt, it simply is. And you, chosen one, carry that presence. Not everyone will understand it. Some will pull away, not out of rejection, but because something in them is stirring. Your life carries light, and light doesn't just comfort, it exposes, it awakens. That awakening may look like discomfort at first, but don't let that confuse you. What you're witnessing is not resistance to you, it's resistance to truth. The presence you carry, spiritual, unseen, yet unmistakable, speaks before you do. It carries more than emotion. It carries evidence of every trial you survived, every silence you sat through, every fire that didn't consume you. Like Joseph, misunderstood and betrayed, yet preserved for purpose. Genesis 50-20. Like Esther, positioned quietly until the right moment to stand for something greater than herself. Esther 4:14. The energy that surrounds you is not ordinary. It's layered with spiritual weight, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself to be noticed. It shifts rooms, it confronts lies. It draws out the hungry and unsettles the comfortable. Some will be drawn to it, others will avoid it. Both are a response to the same truth. The light you carry is real. So when people stare, when they hesitate, when their mood changes in your presence, don't shrink, don't second guess. You're not imagining it. You've simply stepped into the reality of your calling. Your aura doesn't need to be explained. It needs to be honored. And it's time you walk with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they were sent, not just born. This is not about superiority. It's about stewardship. You've been set apart to carry something sacred, and as you keep moving forward in faith, remember this. The light within you is not fragile. It is forged, it is faithful, and it is never alone. Chosen one, everything we've spoken so far has led to this deeper truth, the part few ever talk about, yet you felt it all your life. There is something in you that others can't name, but they feel it the moment you walk in. They glance at you, linger for a moment longer than they should, then quickly look away. They shift, grow quiet, suddenly unsure. And while part of you may have spent years wondering what you did wrong, the answer is this: you carry reflection. When people see you, they don't just see a person, they see themselves more clearly than they're ready for. Not the polished, acceptable version of themselves, but the hidden parts, the wounded parts, the forgotten truth that still lives beneath the noise of life. That's what your presence stirs. That's why even strangers feel something they can't explain. They don't know why they're drawn to you, or why, at the same time, they feel exposed. Your essence acts like a mirror, and in that mirror, what is false begins to crack. The masks start to slip, the lies unravel, and while some are ready to embrace what they see, many are not. That's why they pull away. That's why they project, deflect, distance. But it's not rejection, it's resistance. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1-5. Your light is not soft background glow. It confronts, it reveals, and it does so without you having to say a word. That's why, even in your silence, people feel your truth. That's why you've been told, you have a presence, or I feel like you just see through me. And you do. But not to harm, to awaken. You were never meant to fit in. Your very existence challenges the status quo of the soul. Like Moses coming down from the mountain with his face glowing from being in the presence of the Lord, people may not understand the radiance, but their spirits remember it. Exodus 34-29, 3:0. They remember truth when they feel it, and in your presence they are reminded. Not everyone is ready for that reminder. Most people build their lives around survival patterns, defenses, performances, illusions. When your presence pierces through that carefully built wall, the soul stirs. And while the soul longs for freedom, the ego resists the process. It prefers the safety of what's familiar, even if it's false. That's why people seem drawn to you one moment, then cold the next. That's why some relationships shift without warning. It's not confusion, it's clarity. You didn't say anything wrong. You simply showed up carrying something that cannot lie. You carry light, and light divides. Not to destroy, but to separate what is real from what is not. Your presence becomes a moment of decision whether others realize it or not. Some will feel peace, others pressure, but none will walk away untouched. Chosen one, this has always been your path, not to seek attention, but to be attuned, not to make noise, but to carry weight, divine weight, the kind that causes even the most distracted soul to pause. You were given this frequency not for popularity, but for purpose. It's why you feel more, sense more, carry more. It's why you've been through seasons of silence and isolation, because mirrors are not made in crowds, they're refined in stillness. You were shaped in the hidden place, not to remain hidden, but to reflect something sacred. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. And yes, there is a cost. Being a mirror means carrying others' projections, misunderstandings, even resentment. It means walking into spaces and triggering responses you didn't intend. But none of it is personal. It's spiritual. So when they stare, look away, or respond with tension, release the need to be understood. You were not created for comfort. You were created for clarity. Your light isn't meant to entertain. It's meant to reveal. You're not here to fix everyone. You're here to remind them. Your presence is the nudge, the whisper, the holy disruption that causes a soul to turn and remember. And even if they never speak it aloud, something inside them shifts. So don't dim yourself to soothe confusion. Don't silence your soul to keep peace with illusions. Let your energy speak. Let your eyes reflect what words cannot. Let your stillness carry the language of the Spirit. Because when they look at you, they're not just seeing you. They're meeting a reflection of something ancient and true. They're seeing what's been buried in them, brought to the surface by the presence of someone who dares to carry light without apology. And whether they walk away confused, comforted, or convicted, the moment you entered, something eternal was stirred. Chosen one, after all that's been said about how your presence affects others, there's still a part of this journey that rarely finds words because it's quieter, harder to name, and often misunderstood. It's not about how your light shifts the atmosphere or how people react to you. It's about what that light quietly does within you. Because to carry light is not just to shine outward, it is also to bear a weight inward, a sacred weight. And unless you recognize it for what it is, it can be mistaken for something it's not. Loneliness, fatigue, even sadness. But this isn't weakness, it's awareness. And awareness, when carried without understanding, can feel like a burden. Many chosen ones don't just feel different, they feel older. Even as children, they sense what others miss. The room's emotional temperature, the tension behind polite words, the truth inside people's silences. This isn't because life was unkind, it's because awareness arrived early. You weren't given a childlike lens for long. You were shown the undercurrents of the world while others floated on the surface. And that early knowing shaped you not into arrogance, but into a soul that searches deeply. While others talk about weather and routine, your spirit leans into motive, meaning, and what's left unspoken. This can be a lonely place to live. Shallow conversation drains you. Crowded spaces overwhelm you. Relationships without depth leave you feeling unseen, even when surrounded by people who say they care. But this isn't emotional fragility, it's spiritual refinement. You are not easily stirred because you are weak. You are stirred because you're tuned. Like a finely crafted instrument, you pick up on vibrations others don't even notice. And, like the prophet Elijah, who heard God not in the fire or the wind, but in a still small voice, 1 Kings 19:12, you are designed to sense what others miss in the noise. This is why you need more silence, more rest, more room to breathe, because your inner world is always on, even when your outer world is quiet. That's not dysfunction, it's design. But there's another layer, too, the silent pressure that comes from being the one people turn to. They feel order around you, clarity, truth. And while that's a gift, it's also a weight. Because when people look to you for peace, you may start believing it's your job to carry their confusion, to resolve what their spirit is only beginning to face. That's where emotional burnout begins. You were never sent to save everyone. You weren't called to fix what isn't yours. Even Jesus, who healed multitudes, walked away at times to be alone in prayer. Luke 5:16. He knew the difference between what was his to carry and what belonged to the Father. So must you. You reveal, but you don't rescue. You awaken, but you do not force others to rise. When chosen ones forget this, They wear themselves thin, trying to be everywhere, for everyone, all the time. The result is spiritual exhaustion, quiet resentment, and confusion about their own gift. But that's not calling, that's over-functioning, and it's unsustainable. There's also a grief that comes with insight, a subtle ache, often overlooked. Not grief for yourself, but for what you see. The could-bes that never come. The beauty in people who won't let themselves grow. The connection that fades before the other person understands why. This grief doesn't shout, it settles, it lingers, and unless named, it disguises itself as numbness or depression. But what you're grieving isn't failure, it's truth unmet. This is why your path isn't about constant expansion, it's about discernment, knowing what to carry, what to bless and release, when to speak, and when to simply stand in peace. You are not here to force growth, you are here to be aligned, and let your presence do what words never could. As you mature in your awareness, the weight begins to shift. You stop apologizing for what you carry. You stop trying to manage how others feel around you. You let discomfort exist without needing to soothe it. You let others walk away without chasing their understanding, and a quiet strength begins to rise. Your presence becomes lighter, not because it fades, but because you are no longer carrying it alone. You've handed back what was never yours to hold. The pressure eases, the loneliness softens. The stillness, once heavy, becomes holy. You begin to live in rhythm with the truth of who you are, no longer questioning your difference, but honoring it. No longer shrinking your light, but letting it warm you, not burn you. This is where your spirit stabilizes, not in the applause, not in being understood, but in being aligned. And alignment doesn't demand attention, it invites peace. From this place, you no longer walk with armor, you walk with assurance. You don't try to convince anyone of your worth, you live from it. You carry wisdom without needing to explain. You carry light without needing to shine it on everyone. You move with grace because you've made peace with the inner world that once felt like too much. And now it is your sanctuary, your clarity, your gift. You are no longer reacting, you are resting. And from that place, chosen one, the world begins to respond, not because you're trying to change it, but because you are finally at peace with being who you were created to be. Chosen one, there is something about your eyes that words can never quite capture. People may not remember your voice, your name, or where they met you, but your eyes stay with them. They linger in memory like a question never answered, like a moment that refuses to fade. Not because of color or expression, but because of what's behind them. Because your gaze doesn't merely observe, it searches. It does not glance, it penetrates. What you carry in your eyes is not simply reflection, it is recognition. Not just of others, but of deeper truths, hidden stories, and spiritual memory that predates this life. This is not imagination, it is discernment. It is what happens when a soul carries vision, not just sight, but spiritual sight. Your eyes are not passive, they are portals. When others look into them, something stirs, even if they cannot explain why. It's the sudden pause in conversation, the nervous laughter, the unexpected silence. They aren't reacting to appearance, they're reacting to presence. And what they feel is not of this world. Some will tell you, there's something in your eyes. Others may say, you look like you've seen too much. What they're sensing is the weight of what your spirit knows, the stories you don't speak of, and the wisdom you didn't learn from books or mentors, but from walking through fire, silence, and sacred waiting. You carry the memory of what has been revealed in quiet places, those moments when God spoke and you listened, when you were refined in pain and did not run, when you chose truth over comfort. All of that, every lesson, every whisper of the divine settled into your gaze. And so, when someone locks eyes with you, they feel it, a presence that doesn't just see, but knows. There's a reason, Scripture says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. Proverbs 15:3. The eyes carry something sacred. They are how heaven watches, how the soul reveals itself, how light both exposes and comforts. And when you, chosen one, walk in alignment with the Spirit, your gaze begins to reflect that same watchfulness, not in judgment, but in clarity. You begin to see what's beneath the surface, the fear behind pride, the longing behind distance, the truth behind smiles. And while this may seem like a gift, and it is, it can also be a quiet burden, because seeing clearly is not always easy. Not everyone wants to be seen. Many people spend their entire lives building walls to protect themselves from exactly what your presence naturally reveals. And when your eyes meet theirs, even for a brief moment, those walls begin to crack. You become a mirror, not because you try to be, but because light cannot help but reveal. This is why you felt people pull away after moments of connection, why some become awkward or overly careful around you, why others are drawn to you again and again without knowing what they're looking for. They're not responding to charm or charisma. They are responding to truth, not the truth you speak, but the truth you embody. There are moments when your gaze carries healing, when someone meets your eyes and feels, perhaps for the first time in a long time, that they are seen without judgment. That moment alone can begin to untangle shame. That moment alone can shift something eternal. Then, El Roy, she said, "You are the God who sees me." Genesis 16:13. These were the words of Hagar, a woman cast out and overlooked, who found comfort not through human kindness, but in being seen by the divine. When someone feels that same level of seeing through you, they won't always know what to do with it. Some will feel peace, others will feel exposed, some will be comforted, others will flee. It's not about you, it's about what your sight awakens. In a quiet cafe in a small town, a woman once shared her story. She had lived a life of success and surface-level perfection, always in control, always polished. Until one day, in the middle of an ordinary meeting, she looked into the eyes of a man who said almost nothing, but something broke in her. Tears came, though no words had been spoken. "It was like he saw past everything I had built," she said. "Like he saw the girl I used to be, the one I had forgotten." That is the power of recognition. The soul will remember what the mind resists. You've likely had this happen, perhaps many times. You didn't plan it. You weren't trying to make an impact. But your gaze reached into something eternal. You stirred a memory buried in spirit. And that person walked away different, even if they never said it out loud. And yes, not all responses will be gentle. Some will resist. Some will avoid you, not because of hatred, but because of fear. Fear of being known, fear of being exposed, fear of having to face what your presence reflects. That's the rejection reflex. But, chosen one, do not confuse rejection with wrongdoing. Even Jesus was rejected in his hometown, not because he lacked truth, but because those who watched him grow up could not reconcile his familiarity with his divine assignment. Mark 6:4. You will face the same tension. People will feel something they cannot name. Their spirit will recognize you, but their mind will dismiss you. Let them. You were not sent to be understood by all. You were sent to be remembered by the right ones. Those whose hearts are ready. Those whose spirits are waking. Those who will feel the shift and choose to rise with it. So don't lower your eyes to make others comfortable. Don't soften your gaze to make truth more palatable. You are not here to flatter. You are here to reflect, and your gaze is part of that holy work. It carries healing, it carries memory, it carries warning. It is the quiet sound of eternity speaking. Chosen one, walk with the quiet, knowing that your presence speaks without sound, that your spirit remembers things most people haven't even begun to feel, that your eyes are not too much, they are mirrors. And in every moment of silent recognition, something is stirred, something is seen, something is remembered. And whether they accept it or walk away, the truth remains. They looked into your eyes, and eternity looked back. Chosen one, let's speak clearly and without hesitation. There's a reality you've lived quietly for a long time, one that few ever name, but you felt in your bones. You've walked into rooms and watched the atmosphere shift. You've seen eyes glance your way and immediately look down, as if your presence stirred something they weren't ready to face. That wasn't awkwardness. It wasn't social discomfort. It was spiritual friction, the invisible tension between truth and denial, between awakening and resistance. What you've been witnessing is the rejection reflex. It has little to do with your tone, your words, or how you carry yourself. It has everything to do with the light you carry. A light that reaches beyond words. A frequency that confronts the false self others have spent years building. You're not being rejected for who you are, but for what your presence represents. For everyone who does evil hates the light, and does not come to the light for fear that his deeds will be exposed. John 3:20. Your energy reminds them of what they've buried, the calling they ignored, the healing they postponed, the truth they silenced. You press gently but unavoidably against illusions. And those who are attached to their illusions will feel like they're being confronted even when you've said nothing at all. That's the paradox of alignment. The more aligned you are with truth, with God, with your purpose, the more disruptive your presence becomes to anything that's out of sync with that frequency. You don't walk into rooms to argue, you walk in carrying clarity. And clarity reveals. It doesn't flatter, it doesn't entertain, it simply shows. That's why people shift when you enter. They lower their eyes, steer conversation away from anything real, or offer you a forced smile that doesn't touch their soul. And you felt it, that invisible pullback. The coldness that has no explanation, the emotional distance that appears overnight, the unspoken discomfort that says, you've seen too much, you know too much, and I'm not ready for that kind of truth. You remind them of what they've refused to face in themselves. You make them feel the tension between who they are and who they were meant to become. That gap feels like danger to someone who isn't ready to grow. And so they pull away. They avoid, they deflect. They may even turn against you, not because you did anything wrong, but because you woke something up. But this is not about fault. It's about frequency. You weren't created to flatter egos. You weren't sent to soothe illusions. You are a divine disruptor, a sacred alarm clock in a sleeping world. And just like a real alarm, your presence may not sound sweet to those who are still dreaming. It may feel jarring, inconvenient, even unwanted, but that doesn't make it any less necessary. Even Jesus' pure truth in flesh was rejected, not because he lacked love or compassion, but because his presence exposed what people had spent their lives trying to conceal. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. John 1:11. Rejection is not a sign you failed. Sometimes it's confirmation that your light is doing exactly what it was designed to do. And yet, not every stare is resistance, not every gaze is fear. There are those rare moments when someone looks at you and doesn't flinch. They don't look away. They don't shift uncomfortably. Instead, they stare as if trying to remember a dream, as if some ancient part of them just came alive. These are not random moments. These are spirit-to-spirit recognitions. Their soul recognizes yours. Not because you've met in this lifetime, but because your spirits have crossed before in realms beyond time, before the noise of this world taught them to forget. They see you and feel something sacred, something they lost, something they were told to suppress, and your presence becomes a key, unlocking a memory of who they used to be or who they still might become. In your eyes, they see possibility. Not because you offered them advice or tried to lead, but because your very existence reflects what is possible when someone lives awake. These are holy moments, quiet, unspoken, yet drenched in purpose. You've seen them, the soft smile, the eyes that water for no reason, the lingering glance that says, "I don't know who you are, but I feel like I've known you forever." In those moments, you are not just a person, you are a mirror, a signpost, a reminder. And though they may never put it into words, they'll never forget what they felt in your presence. Chosen one, you were never meant to blend in. That aching feeling of not fitting anywhere, that wasn't a flaw, it was evidence. Evidence that your spirit was wired for higher ground, that you were sent not to conform, but to carry. And what you carry can't be explained to those who are still asleep to their own purpose. You noticed things as a child others overlooked. You heard what wasn't said. You felt the pain people denied. And maybe, for a time, you tried to shrink. You tried to tone it down, to be less sensitive, less intuitive, less different. But it never worked, because your soul was never made to hide. You are a messenger, a catalyst, a carrier of frequencies that this world doesn't know how to name. And while that often brings misunderstanding, isolation, or discomfort, it also brings awakening. You walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere. You speak, and hearts open. You remain silent, and still something moves. That is not arrogance. That is obedience. This world celebrates sameness. It rewards those who follow the script. But the chosen, we were never given a script. We were given light. And light doesn't ask for permission to shine, it simply does. Even when it exposes, even when it disrupts. What does all this mean for you now? It means stop chasing normal. Stop explaining your essence to those still living behind masks. Stop grieving over the ones who walked away. Not all disconnection is a loss. Some of it is protection. Heaven hides what it wants to preserve. You are being hidden not because you are forgotten, but because you are being prepared. The ones meant to walk with you will recognize you, not because of your words, but because their spirit already knows. Deep calls to deep, Psalm 42:7. You weren't sent to be liked. You were sent to carry presence. You were sent to activate memory, stir truth, disrupt darkness. And that requires strength, not comfort, boldness, not blending, clarity, not compromise. So let them stare. Let them leave. Let them wonder. You were never here for everyone. You were here for alignment, for the ones ready to remember, to rise, to return to who they were created to be. Chosen one, this is not the easy path, but it is the sacred one, and the weight of this calling is not punishment, it is purpose. You are not here to fit in. You are here to awaken what the world tried to silence. So walk tall, let your aura speak, let your silence carry wisdom, let your gaze carry truth, let your presence do what only it can do, set people free, even if it makes them uncomfortable first. This is your assignment. This is your frequency. This is your light. And it was never meant to blend in. It was always meant to break through. Now that you've begun to understand the weight and wonder of who you are, the question is no longer, why do people react to me this way? You've already seen how your presence stirs, shifts, and sometimes unsettles the world around you. The more important question now is this: how do you live with that awareness, without shrinking, without hardening, and without losing your center? Because carrying this kind of light is not just a revelation, it is a responsibility, a sacred one. And the way you walk with it will either wear you down or set you free. The first discipline is not performance, it's awareness. You don't need to project your depth or prove your spiritual sensitivity to anyone. You don't need to posture or explain. Instead, learn to observe. Watch how rooms shift when you enter. Notice how conversations deepen or how silence becomes charged. Sense when people open themselves toward you or close themselves off. This awareness isn't meant to inflate your ego, it's meant to anchor you in spiritual maturity. When you understand that your energy speaks before you do, you stop personalizing people's discomfort or attraction. You begin to realize that most of the time, their reactions are not about you, they're about what your presence awakens in them. The second practice is the cultivation of energetic boundaries. Just because your spirit is open does not mean everyone deserves access. Even Jesus, in all his compassion, did not entrust himself to everyone. But Jesus, on his part, was not entrusting himself to them, for he knew all men. John 2:24. In your own life, this means paying attention to how your body feels after certain interactions. If you consistently walk away feeling drained, diminished, or disoriented, that is not judgment, it's information. You are not here to pour endlessly into every cup. You are here to steward your light. That means learning when to listen, when to speak, and when to walk away. You can be loving and still protect your peace. You can be kind without being constantly available. The third discipline is choosing grounded presence over disappearance. Many chosen ones, overwhelmed by the energy they carry and the way people respond to it, make the mistake of withdrawing completely. But disappearing is not the goal. Stability is. When you sense others staring, shifting, or pulling away, don't match their discomfort. Stay rooted in your body. Unclench your jaw. Relax your shoulders. Breathe slowly. Let your nervous system learn that being seen is not dangerous. You do not have to disappear to stay safe. In fact, the more you remain present in the face of discomfort, the more your energy begins to anchor the space rather than absorb it. The fourth practice is to align your words with your presence. You don't have to speak often, but when you do, let it be from truth, not from emotional overflow. Let your speech always be with grace, as though seasoned with salt. Colossians 4:6. Gossip, over-explaining, people-pleasing, or emotional leaking creates confusion in the atmosphere you've just clarified. Integrity is when your language mirrors the weight of your spirit. Sometimes, the most aligned thing you can say is nothing at all. Sometimes, it means holding your peace, speaking when moved, not when triggered, and offering words that heal rather than impress. Fifth, develop discernment without suspicion. Discernment is clarity, suspicion is fear, and the two are not the same. Not every person who approaches you is meant to walk beside you, but not everyone who draws near is a threat either. True discernment watches for consistency, not charisma. It pays attention to how someone handles boundaries, not just how they speak. The ones who are aligned with your path will honor your space, not try to breach it. The ones who are not will push, pressure, or manipulate. Let time be your teacher. Let fruit be your guide. You will know them by their fruits. Matthew 7:16. The sixth principle is to reclaim solitude as restoration, not escape. Your energy field absorbs more than most. Your soul processes at greater depth. This means solitude is not a luxury, it's essential. Not isolation, but intentional stillness. Go for a walk without filling it with sound. Sit in a room without reaching for your phone. Pray without words. Breathe without agenda. These are not indulgences, they are recalibrations. And the more you honor these quiet moments, the clearer and less reactive your energy becomes in the public spaces where you are called to shine. Seventh, and perhaps most vital, is the practice of releasing the need to be understood. You are not here to translate your soul into something smaller just to make others comfortable. Stop watering down your perception so others don't feel insecure. Stop explaining your intentions to people who have not earned your trust. You were sent to carry truth, not to manage reactions. Let people misunderstand you. Let them draw conclusions. The need to be validated will dissolve the more deeply you realize that your assignment doesn't require explanation, it requires obedience. Am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ, Galatians 1:10. And lastly, chosen one, learn to walk in humility, not in visibility. Being set apart is not about superiority, it's about stewardship. The deeper your calling, the quieter your posture becomes. You don't need to announce your gifts. You don't need to seek applause. You lead not by force, but by frequency. The most powerful presence is not loud or self-important. It is consistent. It listens deeply, speaks clearly, loves freely, and walks away peacefully when needed. That is the quiet strength of someone who knows who they are and knows who they walk with. When you live this way, people's reactions stop defining you. Stares don't shake you. Avoidance doesn't sting. Admiration doesn't distract you. You begin to see everything as information, not identity. You become less reactive, more responsive, less defended, more discerning. And from that grounded place, your presence begins to do what it was always meant to do: shift atmospheres, awaken sleeping hearts, and carry truth into places that words could never reach. This is not just a gift, it is a way of being. And when lived faithfully, it becomes its own kind of peace. Now, chosen one, it's time you understand this not as a theory, but as truth woven into the fabric of your being. Your aura is not just energy, it is your message. It is the silent echo of the assignment written into your spirit before you were formed in the womb. Before you speak, before you move, before anyone even learns your name, your aura has already spoken. It carries the weight of your frequency, the clarity of your truth, and the seal of your calling. You do not need to explain who you are when your very presence already testifies. This is not imagination. This is the divine signature you carry. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1-5. You were consecrated before you could speak. You were designed not just to exist, but to reveal something eternal. When you walk into a space, you shift it. Not because you demand attention, but because heaven walks with you. Your presence unsettles illusions and stirs sleeping truth. People may not understand what they feel, but they feel. They may not find words for it, but their spirit responds. They may walk away unsure of what just happened, but something inside them doesn't go back to sleep. That is not coincidence. That is spiritual design. Your aura is alive with light and memory. It carries the codes of every trial you've endured, every silence you've kept, every promise God has whispered to you in the dark. And whether people know it or not, when they come into contact with you, they're receiving a message, not one you crafted, but one you've become. This is why awareness is your responsibility now. You are not invisible in the spirit. Even in silence, you are radiant. Even in stillness, you are speaking. Even when unnoticed by the world, you are being recognized in unseen realms. Your aura isn't neutral, it's active. It's doing the work, even when your mouth is closed. This is why it matters where you go, what you entertain, who you let close. Your energy is not common, it is sacred. You cannot afford to mingle with what drains you, with environments that flatten your frequency, or with people who see your light as something to consume rather than honor. You weren't designed to be everywhere, for everyone. This is not about judging others, it is about honoring what God has entrusted to you. Do not cast your pearls before swine, Matthew 7-6, not out of arrogance, but stewardship. What heaven has placed in you must be guarded, not squandered. When you walk into a room, understand that your presence is already doing what many strive to achieve through force. It's awakening, convicting, aligning. So, speak only what your spirit is ready to carry. Let your words match the weight of your calling. Let your stillness speak where noise would only blur. And when people stare, avoid, admire, or resist, remember this. Their response does not define your value. It confirms your vibration. Your assignment is active. Your light is at work. You don't need to be louder. You need to be conscious, aligned, present. Because now you know the truth. Your light speaks before you do, and it is being heard. But there is a necessary warning. Because not all who are drawn to the light come with pure intentions. Chosen one. Some eyes do not gaze with wonder, they study with intent. Not every soul that steps close is aligned with your journey. Some are magnetized to your peace, but not because they seek transformation. They seek to absorb what they have not cultivated. These are not partners in purpose. These are spiritual attachments, not spiritual agreements. Discernment is your safeguard, not suspicion, but wisdom. You've likely already felt it. Those who arrive with intensity, but not consistency. They flatter, but their energy feels off. They praise your light, but their spirit carries hunger, not reverence. Their presence drains rather than uplifts. These are not coincidences, these are signals. When someone leaves you tired, foggy, or unsettled, listen. That is not chemistry, that is misalignment. Test the spirits to see whether they are from God. 1 John 4:1. Pay attention not to how people speak, but how they respond to your boundaries. Watch how they handle silence, how they treat your need for space, because those sent by God will never make you question your peace. You are no longer in a season where you can afford to entertain confusion. Your energy is too needed, too precious, too rare. Not every connection is divine. Not every invitation is meant for you. Not every gaze is safe. Some will see your light and want to control it. Others will try to dim it with false intimacy or flattery. Do not be deceived. When your spirit says no, honor it. Obedience is protection. And when your discernment calls you to step away, don't apologize. Don't wait for proof. Your peace is the proof. And when peace leaves, you leave with it. Breathe. Chosen one, let that settle deep into your spirit. Everything you felt, every stare, every shift, every moment of unexplained energy in a room is real. You were never making it up. It wasn't overthinking. It was a spiritual message encoded in your experience. You were designed this way, formed in the secret place, appointed not for status, but for purpose. You carry a spiritual gravity that shifts atmospheres and rattles falsehoods. Not everyone will thank you for it, but your presence is proof that heaven still sends messengers into the world in human form. You don't need applause. You don't need to be understood. Your existence is enough. Your gaze is enough. Your walk, your stillness, your voice, it all carries divine weight. And while the world may not always recognize what they're encountering when they meet you, their spirit knows, and that knowing will stay with them long after you've left. You were not born to survive. You were sent to shift, to disturb the darkness, to carry the memory of what is holy, to walk in light, not just for your sake but for those still wandering in the fog. And now, here is what you must know above all else. The stares, the whispers, the strange energy you felt around you lately, they are signs, not of rejection, but of revelation. You are being seen because you are being revealed. There was a time you were hidden, on purpose, covered not because you were forgotten, but because you were still being formed. The waiting wasn't delay, it was protection. Like Moses, hidden in the reeds until the appointed time. Like David, tending sheep in the hills while his name was unknown. The hidden place was your training ground. But now, the veil is lifting. Heaven is unveiling what it once kept in shadow. And that unveiling isn't just personal, it's prophetic. You are the fulfillment of a preparation that's taken years. Everything you endured was for this hour. The silence, the solitude, the misunderstandings, they all shaped you. And now that the weight of your calling has settled, the world is responding. Not because you've changed, but because your time has come. People may not know why they feel different around you. They may not have language for what shifts when you speak or simply stand, but their spirit knows. You are walking confirmation of something ancient and holy. So, don't flinch when you're seen. Don't withdraw when you're noticed. You're not being exposed, you're being revealed. This is the moment your soul has been carrying in silence for years. The mantle you once felt but couldn't name is now visible. And while the world watches, heaven is affirming. Walk boldly, walk wisely, and walk humbly. Because you are not just being looked at, you are being announced. And what heaven reveals, no man can ignore. Chosen one, if this message has stirred something deep within you, if your spirit feels seen, understood, and called, then this moment is for you. Let's come before the Lord, not with pretense or performance, but with a heart ready to receive, align, and be renewed. Wherever you are, take a deep breath, quiet your soul, and join me in this prayer. Heavenly Father, I come before you with a heart open and bare. I thank you for the sacred weight you've placed upon my life, for the light I carry, for the presence I did not earn, but have been chosen to steward. I acknowledge today, not with pride, but with reverence, that I have been set apart, not for applause, but for alignment, not for comfort, but for calling. Lord, I confess that at times this light has felt heavy. I have questioned it. I have tried to hide it. I have wondered why I could not blend in, why my silence stirred rooms, why my presence attracted both admiration and resistance. But now I see it was you all along. It was your fingerprint on my spirit, your voice in my stillness, your truth in my bones. You have searched me and known me. Psalm 139:1. You formed me in the secret place, and even before I took my first breath, you called me by name. Isaiah 43:1. And now, Lord, I surrender to that calling. No more shrinking, no more explaining, no more dimming my light to soothe others' discomfort. I was not created to blend in. I was born to reflect your glory. Teach me, O God, how to walk with holy discernment. Help me guard my energy, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Let me not give my pearls to those who trample them, but to steward what you've entrusted to me with clarity and grace. Teach me to love without losing myself, to speak only when you prompt me, and to walk in rooms not to be seen, but to reflect what is unseen. Father, strengthen me in solitude. When the world grows loud and my soul feels tired, draw me into stillness. Let me hear your whisper like Elijah did, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. Let that voice anchor me. When rejection comes, remind me it is not a verdict, it is confirmation. When people turn away, let me not take it personally, for even your Son was not received by all. John 1:11. Let me walk like Jesus, with authority, with compassion, and with humility. Let my gaze reflect heaven. Let my silence carry peace. Let my steps shift the ground with your truth. And, Lord, keep me aligned, not chasing titles, not seeking validation, but grounded, present, obedient. Because my assignment is not about me, it is about what you are doing through me. Thank you for entrusting me with this presence. Thank you for refining me through fire, for preserving me through silence, and for revealing me in your perfect time. I am yours. In the mighty name of Jesus, Amen. If this prayer resonated with your soul, if something in you was stirred, awakened, or realigned, I invite you to type Amen in the comments as a declaration that you've received it. Share this message with someone who may need to be reminded of who they truly are. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe for more messages like this, because your spirit was never meant to walk this path alone. Until next time, stay grounded, stay aligned, and never forget you were chosen for such a time as this. God bless you.